Hello there, and welcome back to another one of my boring videos. I read quite a few of the comments pertaining to the leaks in the van, and I got some good suggestions, and I've got some that I guess there's a lack of communication or understanding what I'm saying. So let me make it very clear here. A number of you said that the heater core is leaking. That is not the case, okay? If the heater core was leaking, okay, why is it when it don't rain, it does not leak in here? It only leaks in the van when it rains. No other time. It leaks in the van when it's sitting in the driveway, not being driven. Okay? So let's make that clear. This is the heater box here. The water that is coming down is coming from the other side, the driver's side. Although this does feel damp here too, and yes, there could be leaks here, but it is not coming from the heater core. This van can sit, and it doesn't get used all that much. It could sit for several weeks. I've had it sit here for a month, not used, and it stays bone dry until it rains. It's also been suggested that I should remove the carpeting, and I might do that up to the front seats. I'm not ripping all the carpet out. That was suggested too. Another one, some people said take out the seats. Now come on now, let's be realistic. We do use this van. This is not a cargo van, okay? Somebody else even suggested ripping the headliner out. There's no leaks up there. There's nothing. If there was a leak up in the headliner, okay, or even in the gutters, which was suggested, I would be getting water marks on the ceiling. Somebody else also said, well, you're getting the water on this side because that's the way the ground is. No, that's not why it's leaking, because this is the area where it's leaking. I'm not saying it's not leaking on the passenger side too, because that carpet is damp over there. But 90% of the water's coming in through here. Way up in the corner, I had taken my Harbor Freight inspection camera up in there, and I can see on the metal here, way up in the corner, discoloration of rust. I mean, you can see this is all rusty here. So right now, as I said, there's no water in here because it hasn't been raining. Okay? And also, speaking of the heater core, that was changed 10 years ago, because at that time it was leaking, and 10 years ago was the last time this air conditioner was running. The air conditioner, which another person suggested could be causing the problem, the air conditioner hasn't worked in 10 years. As a matter of fact, the van has been leaking probably for maybe 8 years. This has got the R12 system in it. It would cost like $1,500 to repair it and put a new compressor in, because the compressor is leaking. So we gave up air conditioning on this. We just reside the fact that we're not going to have air conditioning. They're very expensive. It's a 90 van. It doesn't pay to put that into it. And other people are saying, buy a new car. Oh, yeah, right. Must be nice to have money, huh? All right, I don't mean to get sarcastic, but, sometimes the comments really irk me, and I appreciate the help. But I'm going to give you this video, and I want to show you, okay? And I also want to get up and show you the gutters, because I had some good suggestions that the gutters could be leaking and could be coming down the post here. Okay, got the hood up. Now, I'm not sure what they're saying about, somebody had mentioned, a couple of viewers have said something about the cowling. This is the cowling here. I had this off. If you look down in here, this is where the windshield wipers are. There's the washer hose right there. You can see it. Okay? I had taken a garden hose and flooded this whole area. Nothing came in. Okay? When the windshield was done, I mean, this looks bad here, but it isn't. This was remnants of silicone that I had put in way before the windshield was replaced. And the guys at Safe Light Glass, they cleaned it all off, and the original windshield was barely held in, so it was replaced before we got the van, and the original windshield had hardly any sealant in it. So when they replaced the windshield, I says, oh good, maybe we'll get rid of our leak, but that wasn't the case. It still leaks. So my test that I made with the garden hose is pouring water in a garden hose, squirting it down the windshield all the way over. Nothing came in the van, okay? And I even had silicone all the way around the windshield, but that's not where it was leaking, okay? So you're saying the cowling, okay? Something about drill holes in the cowling. Well, where? Now, you know, this is a 90, so maybe there's a difference on you know, a newer vehicle, okay? Water can get in here. It's made to get in here, okay? It's also made to get in here. You know, there's a seal here, but water's going to get in here, and there are holes here, okay, which will just simply drain into the engine compartment. You know, like I say, I had all this off. There's the screws. I took this whole thing off there about 5 years ago, and inside here you can reach in all the way through, and it's like a box in here. You may not be able to see that, it's awful dark in there, but there's like a wall, there's like a box in here. See, I can feel it right there. Compartment. And I had siliconed the hell out of it. You can't, maybe you can see the windshield wiper mechanism, and straight down just about where that wiper is the wiper motor. I had siliconed all around there. Now I had, like I say, I'm going to repeat myself, I put a garden hose in here and I got nothing on the inside of the van. Nothing. All this has been checked. When the guy took the windshield out, it's not rusted through. He put a lot of sealant in here and put the trim back on. This is all my junk that I put in here years ago, silicone and stuff, that is really not necessary. It really looks like hell. Okay, so you see there's a drain hole here of some kind, so I don't know what you mean by the cowling. This is what we call the cowling here, okay? And water can plainly run down through here. Water is supposed to run down here, okay? Water is supposed to go down in here. The holes in here, it's made for that, okay? Yeah, mildew. What I do is I take a bleach rag and I just go over everything. I'll do that later on. But yes, I probably will remove the carpet up to, you know, maybe the seats here. Yesterday, because of the fan running and everything else, I couldn't open these doors without moving everything. But you see, this area here gets wet. This don't, but you know, this gets wet here, and there's a rubber seal all through here, and I cleaned it all off. The door gaskets seem to be fine. Okay. Door gaskets seem to be fine. While I got this open, I'll clean up a little bit. But the carpet back here is okay. This is where I did all that body work here and everything. It's holding up just fine. So probably this front area here, I'll probably remove the carpet in here. This seems to be okay. This isn't too bad though, it's a little damp. But yes, I agree that the carpet's gonna take forever to dry. And, you know, it's gonna be a big project because I'm gonna have to clean the metal down, then put rust reformer on there. A good friend of mine suggested rusty metal primer. Suggested that for the frame too. I've used that stuff before and it's very good. So I might use that and then paint it flat black with probably maybe a little sand in it so you don't slide. On the driver's side I got that mat that's glued down. So I'll probably just leave it that way. But yes, this has got to be probably removed. But again, it's not the heater box. It's not the core, heater core. Because it only leaks when it rains. You know the old saying, my roof leaks, but only when it rains. So, I mean, if the heater core was leaking, it would be leaking on a dry day. Why is it that I don't get water in here on a dry day? So again, it is not the heater core. Okay. Like I say, 90% of the water is leaking in from that left corner, where on the driver's side, way up in the corner. Okay, I'm standing on the running board of the van. Now, if you look right here, years ago, I had an area where I was questioning in the gutter, and I put white silicone in there. I cleaned it up really good. This was a few years back, and I cleaned it and put silicone in there. And I thought I solved the problem, and I did that on both sides, and I still got the same leak. So it's not the gutters. Facing towards the back now, this is the side of the van. Another side doors are open. Trying to give you a perspective here. And you can see why I fixed that. These were the only spots. This one up front I just showed you, and this one here. And it's starting to get rusty here again. So yes, I will have to work on that, but that's a never-ending problem because it keeps rusting out anyways, no matter what I do to it. But there is no leak there. I had taken a hose and flooded the whole top of this thing. I've done everything I can think of. And no leaks will show unless it rains. Bleach and me are very good friends. I just use this classic. Contains bleach. That looks a lot better. So anyways, I probably will remove that, and when I do remove the carpet, I'll probably take out this, and I'm sure I'm going to have a hard time getting these screws out, and then I'll replace them with stainless steel screws. But I could probably just cut it and leave that in there for now, because this seems to be pretty dry. I know you can't get a real sharp focus on this camera, but it's rusty here, and I sanded it down with some of that sandpaper that I got 80 grit from that yard sale. And yes, it's rusty, but if I put rust reformer on there, I can apply 2 coats of rust reformer, which is this stuff here, which was given to me by the guy that I got the sandpaper from. It's half down now because I used it on the minivan. You're supposed to put at least 2 coats on and wait no more than 2 minutes between coats, and then 24 hours before painting it. Well, I can't wait 24 hours, so I'm not using this because the damn rain is going to be here in less than 24 hours. So you can see there's a shiny spot there, so you really can't put rust reformer there anyways. So I'm gonna just spray this with primer, and of course it's going to look gray here, so I'm going to take and mask off this area. There's no hole there, and this here is fairly hard. I think it's silicone that I put in there. It's really hard. There's no holes. I didn't find any holes in here when I did this several years ago. And if you look at the channel all the way down, looking good. I even had silicone in here, but a lot of it got cleaned off from the window guys. But this is an overlap. In other words, this metal overlaps this one, so the water would go down here, so it wouldn't be leaking there anyways. So as you can see, and the best I can do with this camera, there's no holes, because I checked very, very thoroughly. There's no holes, but this was rusty, so I want to take care of this. So I'm going to have to do a quick fix, a poor man's quick dirty fix on this, because like I say, I can't use the rust reformer on this, because if I use it, I'm going to have to, I can't top coat it. In other words, you're not supposed to use that and leave it that way. You're supposed to paint over it in 24 hours. Well, I haven't got 24 hours. Like I have a saying, you have to work between raindrops. And that bleach, that cleaner with bleach does a real good job. Bleach will kill the mold, but of course, eventually it'll come back and you just use it again. So it's looking good. It wasn't all that bad, but it didn't look good. But it looks pretty darn nice now, if I do say so myself. And you got to remember, it's a 90 and it runs good. You know, it runs like a champ. You know, as long as the frame and everything stays good, we got no problem. You know, so all right, let me get started on this, and I'll show you what I done. It's not gonna look great, but I want to mask off as much as I can, because I only have spray cans. I don't have anything brush on. I want to get some of that rusty metal primer. I think Rust-Oleum makes it. And I've used it before, and that's darn good stuff, I'll tell you. You just paint over rust. You sand the rust down as much as you can, like I did here, and you put that rusty metal primer. It looks like a red primer. It's got a red look to it. And then you paint over that after it sets up. All right, let me get started. Okay, this is a paint and primer, and we're going to use that instead of the self-etching primer, which is what I usually do. When you're working against time, you know, you got a limited amount of time to do things, you do the best you can. This is the paint that I use down here, and that's a combination paint and primer, so we're going to do that. First I'm going to mask it off, and you don't need to see me do that. Okay, I've got the first coat on, so there'll be a little square here of gray. So I'm going over to the other side, check the driver's side in that same area. And while this is setting up, before I put the second coat on, I want to go sand the other side down if it needs it. Okay, on the driver's side here, no, this silicone is holding up really well. It's not separating, but right in here, I'm going to sand this and just hit this with the primer. I got to get up underneath here. I got to open this door so we don't get any paint on there, and mask everything off like I did the other side. The only difference is you can't paint on silicone anyways, but this silicone is holding up very good. You can see where I ran a whole line of silicone in here, but there was no holes in here, but I did it anyways just in case, because I'm desperate to try to find out why it's leaking. So you can see that everything's just fine, you know. Believe me, I checked everything. That's just dirt right there. That's just dirt. There's a little bit of rust there. We'll probably scrape that and put a little primer on there. Paint on there, I should say. But it's not true. So let me take care of this. Alright, well, I found the unpleasant surprise under here, but there's no holes. And I got all this silicone I got to remove, and I'm going to have to paint it. Like I say, I can't use the rust reformer on this. because I don't have 24 hours to recoat it. I'd have to recoat it today. So I'm just sanding as much as I can this silicone, and you can't paint over silicone. I was going to just mask it and paint it right to this line here. And there's another little area here I got to work on. Some of this hard stuff down here, that's Bondo. I Bondoed that, and then I siliconed over it. So that's why this is like that. So let me get to work on this. That's the best I can do, just paint over it. I can't get all the silicone off. Right in here, I just can't get it off. I'm scraping down the bare metal with the sandpaper, with the scrubbing pad and everything else. I'm just going to mask this off and put about 3 coats of that paint on here with the primer. Same here. I'm just going to mask it off here and do this whole thing here. That's the best I can do. This is way too hard. Way too much work. There's no... It don't seem to be anything, just a loose surface, some rust, but it's not all the way through. So we'll do some more sanding. Of course, I'm not quite done yet, and that's it. And like I say, if I had several days of dry weather, I would use the rust reformer on here, on these areas. But as I said, when you're down the bare metal, you're not supposed to use the rust reformer on that. So anyways, let me get back to this. We'll get this thing sanded a little more. Alright, I got a clean paper towel, some paint thinner. We'll let that dry good, real good. And that'll get the residue of any, it won't get the silicone off, but it'll get the residue. In other words, there's silicone here and here. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just not going to get it off unless I take all the damn paint off the vehicle. So we're going to hit that one more time with another clean paper towel. That's the best I can do. I had to put it on real heavy because I couldn't get it into the channel properly. If I had a brush, if I was brushing this on, it'd be a lot better. So I had to really almost pour it in there real heavy. It's got to be better than what it was. It's the best I can do. If it ever comes to, I'll just silicone it, that's all. If I keep an eye on the silicone every year, I should be okay. But let's see how this works out. The best I can do. That's why I don't like putting work like this on the internet. But it's the best I can do with the equipment I have. This was ready to come off, I think. It's pretty well ready to come off. That don't look too bad. A lot better than the other side. That's good enough. I can't help it. That's Bondo down there. That's what it was. I was wondering why it was so hard. I had Bondo that probably about 5 years ago. But it never took care of the leak. So obviously the leaks are not coming from the channel, but I figured I'll do it anyways. And I can get some paint. I have to go to AutoZone. I think they might have something close to this, because I'm all out of that too. And just paint over this to match the rest of it. Alright, I'll let that dry. I don't need another coat. I put heavy coat. I mean, it's running, but it's the only way you can do without a lot of massive covering with newspapers, which I don't have now. You know, to cover the whole vehicle so you can spray from a distance. I had to spray really close. But I'm kind of using the primer paint combination as a sealer. It's got to be at least as good as the silicone. And that's the only thing. You say it's coming down the channel, so that might be it. We'll find out when we get more rain. I doubt it'll work. It don't look too bad. I had to go, over these here, and over in the back I got to do yet, like here, but they're all good and solid in here. And I don't think I put silicone in here. I think there's Bondo in here. There's kind of like a smooth, hard area. But that's another time. That's a video for another time, or actually I probably won't even make a video of that. The main thing in this video is just to show you that I am addressing the rain gutters, and I'll get you a little closer look here. It's not perfect by no means. I had a hard time getting the paint in here. The roof, I was only able to reach it up to this point on a small stool that I'm standing on now. So we get all this junk from the, that's a piece of silicone. I get all this junk from the trees throughout the years and everything, for the season I should say. So the van is pretty dirty. Alright, that's it. So I think, that should take care of it if there is any leaks, but I don't think that's going to solve the problem. Okay. Alright. So that's the story. If you listen to my plapping on this video, it is not the heater core. The van only leaks when it rains. So that's all she wrote.